Welcome to the February the 9th, 1999 taping of It Happened in Grand Prairie, as we bring you the history of our city and some of the people that were very important to the making of that history. And they continue to make history today. And since we're in the middle of Black History Month, we are very honored today. We have a lady that is just so special to Grand Prairie and to your speaker also, Sandra Morton Banks. We want to welcome you to the set.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
Thank you.
And Sandra, you are history tape number 358.
Oh.
And that's a real good number because you're a real wonderful person to interview. And with your permission, we're going to begin by asking you to look out into your camera and tell us about Sandra and give us your genealogy. We'd like for you to mention your mother and your father, any names that you would like to put into this, and your brothers and sisters, and document yourself. Would you do that for us?
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Sandra Morton Banks, and I'm very pleased to be here today. I grew up in Grand Prairie, and I'm a product of the Grand Prairie area. I went to school, Sam Houston High School, but before then I went to Booker T. Washington Elementary School in Arlington and to Ferguson Junior High, and then on. I was the first class to graduate from the Sam Houston High School. My roots are very strong here in the community. As you can see, I don't know if you can see the picture, this is a collage of pictures about my family. And in this picture is a picture of my grandmother and my grandfather, Mr. and Mrs. Johnny Gamble. They were one of the first people to settle in what used to be called Tarrant County, or the county line, which was on Manning Road, and I grew up on Manning Road. This is my first prom that I went to, and this is a picture of my mom. Her name is Frances Banks. She still lives on Manning Road in Grand Prairie. And this is a picture of me, and also a picture of my mother and myself. I brought along the picture of the bathing suit. That was the first contest I was in at an early age, and it was at Prairie Park. And I guess I thought I was a celebrity at that time. But
were you the winner, Sandra?
I was the winner.
Oh,
Professor David Daniels presented the prize to me, and I was the first place winner. So that's kind of an old picture. We won't say how old, but it's kind of an old picture. The two pictures here, one is of myself and the other is of my mom. And I feel really good because I look a lot like my mom, and I'm very proud of that. My mother is a very, very strong religious person. She's been an excellent role model in my life. And I've had a lot of role models in my life, and my mom has been my best of all of the role models. And she's a very good person. She's my best friend. She's my confidant, and she's in good health, and I thank God for that, and I love her dearly. These are pictures of my daughter, Montoya. Montoya was a singer at one time. She went to Star Search, and I say one time because she has not continued to pursue that. So if you're listening to Montoya, I wish you would go back. But she won about 5 times on Star Search. And other pictures of my brother and my sister.
Would you give their names?
My brother's name is Robert Johnson. He is an engineer at LTV, and my sister's name is Kay Frances Little. She married a professional football player, an ex-football player with the 49ers. And at one time, my mom had 3 children in school, all in college at the same time. Plus, she was in school. She was at UTA at the time, and I'll show you on into this that she received a proclamation from the mayor of Arlington. And it was on a paper that she wrote about sickle cell anemia. And it was such a good paper, they did a proclamation, plus they featured it in the Arlington newspaper at the time. So this picture is a collage of pictures about my family. Very proud of the picture to the far right. That's what Congressman Martin Frost. He visited the school that I am the executive director of right now.
Would you tell us the name of that school so everyone will know?
It's the Grand Prairie SERP program. It's located in Grand Prairie. It's an old annex C and D off of Stadium Drive, 405 Stadium Drive. Congressman Frost attended our school for about an hour and a half, and I'm very pleased that he did that. He broke everything down in such small terms that my students were very able to understand government. And a lot of people won't do that. They won't take the time to do that and come and talk to students. My students are high school students. They're in the age of 16 to 20, and they're there to get their GED. The picture that you just looked at is a picture of myself. My nephew, he's 11 years old, so obviously he will be following in the footsteps of his dad, professional football, hopefully. The picture next to him is a picture of my daughter, Montoya. And the picture at the extreme bottom is a picture of my brother-in-law that played with the 49ers, and his name is Charles Everett Little. As we go on, this is a picture of my mom, and I was just ecstatic to get that picture because I was surprised to see that there were black dolls back then. Not that my mama said, "Oh, sorry, mommy," but I was excited to see that there were black dolls back then, and so I'm very pleased of these two pictures that I have. To go on to the next board that we have of pictures.
I'll take that one.
Okay. This is a picture saying back to her roots. When I graduated from college, I decided that I wanted to come back to the community. I wanted to give something back to the community. And I came back to the community to do something in the community. And I guess when each one of my students complete a course of GED, I say 1 point. I've won a goal on that. So I'm very proud when my students do complete their GED, and I'm extremely proud of them when they go on to college. We have a good rate of students going on to college. This is a picture of my daughter, the one that's a singer. She sung for the troops in the Middle East. This is a picture of my brother. He broke some track records over at Sam Houston High School.
Is that Johnson?
Robert
Johnson.
He broke some track records over there. This is a picture of and that's Robert right there. He will probably kill me for that picture, but this is a picture of a church, Ben Washington, that's in Irving, and that church is named after my great-grandfather's grandfather. My grandmother took her dad's name, which was Ben, and another lady put her father's name onto it, and it's called Ben Washington Church. That church is still there today.
In Bear Creek?
In Bear Creek.
All right.
It is still there, and it's a thriving church, and it's still there. My mom, during the time that she was in college, she wrote a newspaper article for Grand Prairie, and it was the news that was in Fort Worth, and it was called the Bronze News. She wrote the gossip section for that newspaper, but it was the gossip section that was in the African-American community that was going on from the Bear Creek, Irving area, and in the Grand Prairie area. She wrote all the gossip. This is a paper also that she did right there on sickle cell anemia that I'm real proud of, that she received an award for writing that paper. I'm also proud of this picture. It's with Governor Bush. When he came to town, I was able to meet him, and I was very proud of meeting him. A very nice man, seemed like a very passionate and sensitive person, so I was very excited about meeting him. Other pictures are just pictures of, I thought I was a singer once upon a time, so I had a group called the Rosettes. So it proved that I was not. But I think education is my forte.
That is wonderful. What a wonderful collage of pictures and memories and wonderful memorabilia.
Thank you.
And you're going to have to share that with the library and come tell that story. Especially during Black History Month would be a wonderful time to portray that. And Sandra, let's get back to your wonderful work that you're doing now with SER.
Okay.
And a lot of people in our viewing audience know that you're associated with the schools. They know from listening to you that you've taken care of boys and girls as far as the GED is concerned. But there are other things that you do that you take care of. What exactly is your position there, and some of the things that explain SER to us? As
an executive director of the SER program, I do the day-to-day operation of the program. We do have a GED program. Our students come from Grand Prairie ISD. We also do a housing counseling for the city of Grand Prairie. We have a summer youth program, and in the summer youth program we have about 200 students that go every day. We pay the students to go. They work in nonprofit programs, the city of Grand Prairie, some of the government programs. They work all throughout the city of Grand Prairie.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
How long have you been doing this?
I have been with the SER program for 12 years.
Or 12?
I am the first and original person to open up the Grand Prairie SER. SER has been around about 28 years throughout. It's a national program. They have programs in Puerto Rico. They have programs throughout.
There was a time when that was not associated with the Grand Prairie ISD,
yes.
And you had to get out and hustle money
Yes.
on your own and work through the county and grants and foundations and everything. How do you like it now, being with the school?
I do. I like it. And the school has been very good to us. They said, come aboard, and we'll give you a couple of buildings to run your program, and they've been very good and very gracious to us, and I appreciate
Approximately
it.
how many students' lives do you touch, say, from September to now?
About 140 to 150 students.
And how many staff people do you have helping you and assisting you with this? Not enough, I know.
Not enough. We have two instructors, and I have a part-time instructor. I have one counselor and a receptionist, and then myself.
I understand you're going to Washington pretty soon.
Yes, I'm going to Washington. Congressman Frost invited myself and some of the national people to come to Washington and just talk about our program and some of the things that we're doing. And I'm excited about that. We're going to go on the 24th and 25th. Through that invitation, Congressman Hinojosa also invited us to come by his office and just drop by and talk to him.
Oh, so you're going to make two good pit stops in Washington.
I'm excited, yes. Very.
Yes, and for your program, I know that you're really thankful for that. What do you want to be when you grow up?
Like you. I would like to be like my mom, and of course,
yes,
like you. I'd like to continue, hopefully, that people think that I'm a strong, spiritual, strong person, because I had, again, wonderful, wonderful role models in my life, and with those wonderful role models came a growth of knowing about who I am and what I am and my strengths and some of the things that I can do, and I hope that I can continue to pass it on.
Who was the most important mentor, other than your mom, if you had a grandmother or a teacher or someone in your elementary years that set the stage for you wanting to excel?
Probably my grandmother. My grandmother.
Her name?
Leela Gamble. And everybody in that area, from Manning Road to Tapley, knew Mama Gamble.
All right.
No one crossed her. And Mama Gamble was the strong point to a lot of young people in that community. You could always go to Mama Gamble, but she would always tell you what was right and what was wrong. And she would only say it once. I can remember being in church, and you would get the eye. And if you got the eye from her, you knew when you got home.
Oh, yes.
You were going to have some problems.
Yes.
You were going to either have to talk fast, or you were going to have to take the consequences, what happened. But Mama Gamble was a very strong person.
The person that probably influenced your life the most in elementary school would be?
Mrs. Eccles.
Mrs. Eccles.
Mrs. Eccles was the teacher at Booker T. Washington School, and Mrs. Eccles was also a very strong person. And you knew also if you messed up in her class and you had to go to Mr. Stevenson, he was the principal, you had some problems.
Okay, and let's get on over to Sam Houston. Who was the favorite subject, and helped you to decide what you wanted to extend your career direction?
At Sam Houston, I had a couple of role models, but at Sam Houston, I was the first class to go in to now the Sam Houston that's present.
Yes.
I wanted to get out of school early, so my mom said, okay, let's get you some courses from Texas Tech. I graduated at 16, and I thought I was going to be able to stay at home for 1 year because I was so smart. I got to get out a year early.
Yes.
Didn't work. I waited till all the colleges had finished their enrollment and their late charges and late time to get in, and I thought I was going to miss out. And I got up one morning, my mom had my bags packed. And in doing so, I went to the front door and she said, okay, let's go. And I didn't know where we were going. I had to go off to school to a junior college because I thought I was
waited that long.
I'd waited that long and
Yes.
thought I was going to be able to.
But that was great.
It was great. It was great. It made me understand that you can't do things like that, and you have to go on, and you just can't be responsible.
You must be responsible.
And from that, I was a very unhappy child the whole way to junior college, but I think because of that, I'm a good person today. I hope I'm a good person today.
Your career subjects would be then?
Sociology and psychology, and undergraduate.
Oh, that's tough. Oh.
Well, yeah. My daughter's doing clinical psychology, and every day she'll say, Mom.
That melds, doesn't it?
Mom, do you know the answer to this? And it's like, yes, but you need to find the answer to this.
Yes.
So,
okay, that's wonderful. All right, let's show and tell what we have
show
here.
and tell again. I was in the dentist's office one day, and you know how we procrastinate when we're in the dentist's office and you don't want to go and get in the chair, and you just think of all these things that you can do and going through books. And I saw this book, and I was like, that looks like my pawpaw.
Yes.
And I said, no, it couldn't be my pawpaw. And as I continued to read, it was my pawpaw. This is a picture right here of my pawpaw.
And he's your grandfather?
He's my grandfather. He was my dad's dad.
All right.
And it was just so odd to see his picture in there. It's Sam Morton, and it's a 1929 picture of him when he was at the State Fair of Texas. And I started saying, that's my papa. And people looked at me like, what is she talking about? But to find him in a book in the dentist's office, I was very pleased to find this book.
So then you had to hustle a copy.
I did. My daughter, for my birthday, bought this book for me, and I was really surprised at that. That is part of the thing that I'm so interested in history, and I think young people should really get interested in history. When I was maybe a junior or a senior in college, I wanted to know more about my history, so my mom got me this. And it's just a simple thing that they were giving out. It's about 20, 25 years old. I'm dating myself, but
yes,
it's a very, it's about 20 years old, we'll say that. It's a book, it's Tracing Your Roots, and it was put out by Trailways. I couldn't do this because it had lots of information in it. So the simple thing that I did was put something like this together.
Yes.
We all can do this. We all can put something like this, tracing your family tree.
Yes.
And I think young people, while you have your relatives that are in good health and your mom and dad that can remember, or your grandparents, they need to do something like this. Very, very simple. You can do it. And I think that they need to sit down and start talking to their parents about what happened. And I did that with my Aunt Emma. She gave me a lot of information. I didn't know, for example, that my grandmother mother was on an Indian reservation. She came from an Indian reservation. I didn't know that my grandfather's father came from Mexico. Those are things that blew my mind.
Isn't that wonderful?
It was wonderful. I didn't know that they owned land in West Dallas, about 5 lots in the West Dallas, that's now the West Dallas Shopping Center. I did not know that. And they sold those lots to buy 4 lots in Grand Prairie, where my grandmother, my mom, my uncle, and my aunt all moved into those lots. So
yes.
Those kind of things, they were interesting to me, and that was a history that I did not know.
Isn't that exciting?
It was very exciting.
It's like finding a treasure, isn't it?
It was a treasure.
All right.
Treasure.
What else do we have that's exciting?
This is a book. My daughter is in Who's Who in the Texas music. This goes out to all the music companies and all the people all around, and she's in this book as one of the Texas singers.
Great.
And she's been in there since she did Star Search back in the 80s. 94, I'm sorry, since 94.
And what do you do for hobbies and entertainment and all of the good things?
Well, I like collecting books and old antique furniture. This book is a National Geographic book, and it's 1962. I also have books that are in the 50s, and I really like to read old books. This is a Life magazine book, and this book is also in the 60s. It's 1966. I have some that go back to 1960, and I like collecting books that are very, very old. I like to collect dolls. That's one of a really neat thing, that I have dolls everywhere throughout my house. So that's a really neat thing for me, collecting dolls.
All right. And now you've not talked about church and outside activities. I know that you must have those. You want to talk about that?
I go to Morning Star. And outside activities, I like traveling. And one of these days, I'd like to have a dual citizenship to the Bahamas, if it'll ever happen. I love the islands, and I like to travel.
All right. Do you consider furthering your education a possibility ever?
Not at this time. I think that I'm comfortable I'm not comfortable in not learning. I would love to continue to learn, but as far as going back to school, I think I'm comfortable right now. I'm trying to find a way to retire, so if you got some ideas out there, let me know.
Yes, and then if you were to retire, how would you spend the rest of your life?
Volunteering, doing programs for students. I really think that if we could do so many neat things with the youth that we have, and especially the youth in Grand Prairie, I have so many ideas of things I'd like to do for the young people in Grand Prairie. I really do.
And would you do that from your home in Dallas or from your home in Grand Prairie, possibly, if we proselyte you and bring you back to your real roots on Manning Street or nearby?
Someone offered me a home, I would be glad to come back, but I have considered coming back to Grand Prairie. I really have. Grand Prairie is a beautiful community, and I think it's a diamond that a lot of people need to find, and they are finding the diamond that it is in Grand Prairie. So, Mayor England, I'm promoting it, so we have a diamond here, and it's a beautiful place. And the people here, I think we have that laid-back atmosphere here, so I would love to come back.
As far as culture is concerned, the cultural arts, how much are you into it? I know that you promised you were going to be a singer and didn't. Your daughter studied and became a singer in a sense of the word, and then she's abandoned that. What other cultural interests might you have?
Theater. I like the arts and I like theater. I enjoy going to the different plays. I have not been able to go to a lot of them recently, but I do like to go to different plays. There was one that was in Dallas just recently, and I missed out going to that one, but I have a friend that's a professional singer, and I try to catch her as much as I can. She's an excellent singer. So,
would you ever consider expanding SIR to take in the probably the cultural arts, instead of just the nuts and bolts that you teach them in the GEDs and getting just a minimum amount? Would you ever extend that into some of the cultural arts, such as a theater group at your group?
My students are so creative, and that's a great possibility. You cannot believe some of the smart, creative students that we work with every day. Blew my mind just last week. There was a student that scored 99% in the United States. Very unusual for a student to score that high. We have extremely smart students that are in the program. That's a great possibility. We try to expose our students to a lot of different areas and a lot of different things, and because they don't get the exposure at home, and when the ones that do get the exposure at home, my students sometimes do not carry it over to other different parts of their life, so we try to expose them to a lot of different things. We're going to do a train ride pretty soon from Dallas to Fort Worth. We don't know how we're going to get back because the train won't come back, so that's an...
You're working on that?
We're working on that. We're working on that, but a lot of students have never been on a train. I think I've only been on a train maybe once in my life, and that's been many, many years ago. So it's going to be an exciting experience for them to just do a train ride.
Well, some of your students possibly have never written poetry, have never been a singer, they've never eaten out at a local restaurant. How do you manage to get those things? Do you have mentors that come in and help your students?
We do. We have mentors from the junior college. We also have mentors. We have one gentleman that comes and he shares different recipes with our students. We've had students that have never been to Dallas. And it's so, you've never been to Dallas? No. So we do make trips, and especially with the summer students, we do go to Dallas.
Yes.
And we do look at the Kennedy Monument, and we do visit the Southwestern Bell Information Center. There are a lot of things that we try to expose the students in doing, but we do have people to come in and do guest speaking and talking to our students.
I know that you have done some important work in Grand Prairie, laying the groundwork for your SEER program, because I know that 2 years ago, when I had a real bad illness, the year following all of my treatment, you came before the city council and you brought this
Yeah, we did.
to Ruthie Jackson to just really cheer me up, and 3 dozen red roses, a card that was larger than all of the ones that you've displayed here with all of the students' names on it. And I know you do that for other folks.
Yes.
And how do your boys and girls react to going outside of their boundaries, when I know that you have them fairly well cloistered where you have them, to do nice things like this for folks?
When my students come into the program, I try to make them feel that they're a family. And if you're a family people work together, they do things, and if you're in the program, you're a family. And because of being a family, these are the things that family members do for other people. And that's what I try to display to my students, that we are a family. So because we are, let's try and help someone else and make them feel good.
How do you feel the loss when you lose all of them at the end of the year? You've had a family you've developed all year long, and now you're kicking them out of the nest.
I lose a child, but I guess the positive aspect to that is that if they go on, do something positive with their lives, I feel good about it. It's a transition every 8 to 12 weeks that I have students to go on, and I have parents to call me daily daily. And sometimes you get kind of tired, but I have parents that call me daily saying, Sandra, my child is doing this, my child is doing that. Miss Banks, thank you for helping me, thank you for doing that. That makes me feel very, very, very good that I've done something.
Now you have heard from the parents. Do you get calls back from the boys and girls?
Yes.
Oh, you
They
do?
come back and visit, and sometimes they forget. You don't stay all day, but they do. We get students at least 2 or 3 times a week. I've had students that have completed and gone on to get that are teaching now, that are actually teaching. One that just finished recently from East Texas State, and she's teaching elementary and commerce. We have students to do a lot of things, and I wish one day we'll be able to track those students and some of the neat things that they've done in life.
And especially if they go on to higher education, you ought to get a star for every one of those, and then you'd be a 4-star general.
That would be great.
Or a 5-star general.
That would be great.
Yes, that would. All right, I want you to look out into your camera and thank everyone that's helped you in your quest that you have for this program. And if you need anything, you better ask for it. We have about 2 minutes left, and it's all yours.
Thank you, the community of Grand Prairie, the citizens of Grand Prairie, the District of Grand Prairie, City Council of Grand Prairie. Thank you, parents, for allowing me to work with your young men and women. It's been interesting, and hopefully I'll be here. I've been here 12 years, and hopefully I'll be here 12 more years to do this. If you get time, come by and see the program. I think you'll be impressed. The family, the tie, the neatness, the closeness that we are. And if you want to, we need signs in the community. We need new carpet. So we're open to things like that. Thank you again.
Just new carpet, not anything else maybe? You might as well give a wish list.
There's a van. There's a van for the summer youth. Whatever. Just come by. Please meet the staff. I think that the doors are always open. Our program, we're there to 5:30. The doors are always open. So please come by and see the program. I think you'll be totally surprised of what the young people, because these are our young men and women that will be running the city of Grand Prairie, hopefully in the next 10 or 20 years from now. So please come by and see these people. Thank you.
All right. And would you say thank you to your mom and your other mentors in a half minute?
I love you, Pooh, and that's what we call you, Mommy Pooh. I love you, my sister. I love you, my brother, and I love you, my sweet child. And I say child because we do have a couple of birthdays for you, and I love you also. Thanks again.
And it's been wonderful, Sandra, to have you with us here today.
You.
The Morton name goes on.
Thank you very much.
The Banks name will go on and on. And you'll be portrayed through all of these boys and girls that you've touched their lives in such a miraculous way. And we want to thank you for sharing your life with us, and let other boys and girls, especially during this Black History Month, know that they can excel if they'll just go for it.
Go for it, guys. Thank you.
Thank you. And this is Ruthie Jackson reminding you that history is as we live and do.